Hey, pro organizers, it's your podcast host, Melissa. I know it's been a while. Listen, things have been crazy lately. I have had some huge client projects I've been working on and all sorts of stuff going on in life and entrepreneurship and all the things. But here I am, and I am thrilled to introduce you to one of my real life friends who also happens to be an organizer. And we are talking about something that, when I tell you when I'm recording this message to you, will be hilarious. So it is currently, as I look at my clock, 12:22 a.m. on Monday when this is going up, and I'm recording the little opening to this. And the topic that I'm talking about with my friend Keelan is all about rest in our business and also why we feel like we constantly have to be in motion and doing things and not allowing ourselves to take some of that rest. So is this ironic? 100% it is. But I am bringing my daughter home from college for just a quick trip to surprise her sister. And her flight is delayed and she doesn't get home till 2 in the morning. So I was like, well, I have two options. I can either go to sleep and I can wake up in the middle of the night, which will mess up my sleep for the whole night and make me groggy and all the things, or I can just stay up and I'm going to try to get a bunch of work done. And that's what I chose. So it was an active choice, but it is going to be pretty hilarious when you guys listen to what my conversation with Keelan is. But that is the trade off, and that is life sometimes. It's life as a mom and as an entrepreneur for sure. I am excited to introduce you to my friend, Keelan Simonson of Organice. She is here in Minnesota with me. She actually lives right up the road from me. And I think that our conversation will make you feel less alone. And we are all going through it and in entrepreneurship and in our lives. And I hope that you feel like you have a friend who understands you. That's what we are doing today. Thanks for listening. Have a great day, organizers.
All right,
Let's do it.
let's do it. So I have a first-time podcast guest with me. My friend Keelan is here. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm so good. Thank you.
You are a fellow Minneapolis-based organizer. You are my actual real life friend, and I'm just happy to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here. It's an honor.
Well, we're going to do things a little backwards today. Usually I start with like, tell me about your business and all the things, but I want to jump into what we wanted to talk about because this was your idea. It came out of a conversation that we had a while ago.
Mhm.
And I think it's a really important topic because I think that you and I cannot be the only people that have this problem.
No, no,
There's just no way. Do you remember our original conversation? Because I don't remember it
the
precisely.
context. Yeah, I mean, it was over the holidays, and I think this isn't even. It's not even just professional organizers. I think it's just women in general. But we were talking about how when it's slower in our business, or when things are a little different, or when we have holiday time, or when we have any time that is not structured or planned for us, that there is this feeling of always needing to do something. Like there's always something to check off your list. And it's especially hard for organizers and entrepreneurs because there legitimately is always something that we
There
could.
is always something to do.
Yes. So it's like this pressure constantly to be busy. And my husband does not suffer this affliction. So
Neither does mine. I get angry sometimes because I'll be like, "Why is he sitting on the couch?" And I'm like, "Oh,
sitting.
he's actually doing it right and I'm doing it wrong."
Exactly, exactly. And it's that busy brain that we have that makes it so there's always something to be done. And I don't know the answer, so I'm coming on without an answer. But I just think it's worth acknowledging because I feel like we feel like there's something wrong with us. And I do legitimately think there is, but it's like our culture and there's a
It's
thousand
all
different reasons.
Yeah, it's all the things. And I think too that there is always the pressure that I think first of all, I blame phones for everything, but I
Mhm.
think it's a legitimate place to to lay
Right.
blame
Yeah.
because I do think there and I watch this in my family too, and you have a daughter who is younger, and I don't think you have this problem yet, but you will. Like, I
So
see it with my husband. We jokingly call my husband an iPad kid because his like head's buried in his phone and he's just looking at TikToks of dogs, but
Right.
like, and we'll say something to him and he will be like, huh? And we'll be like, hey, iPad kid, we've been talking to you for the last 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But then my kids too, it's like we'll be watching a show together. The whole family will be like, let's watch blah, 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 whatever. And then everybody sits on the couch and then my kids' heads are buried in their phone and they're like
Mhm.
half watching the show, they're half watching. Like, I think we just have developed this, we constantly have to be multitasking.
Yeah, it was divided
And
culture thing.
it's
Y
divided attention and it like infects, I think, every part of our life.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually was reading this book called How to Not Lose Your Shit on Your Kids or something to
Oh,
that
I love that. It's a great
It's
title
great.
for a book.
It's actually a really good book, but it was wild. I mean, it's not saying anything earth-shattering, but the thing that got me was she was talking about that exact thing, that divided mentality and the need to always multitask. And she's like, it raises your cortisol level. It makes it harder for you to actually finish the things that you're doing. And then you are much more likely to lose your shit because
Yeah.
you cannot keep it together when you're trying to do all these different things. And so I realized that my propensity to get frustrated with my family is the evening time, and it's because I'm trying to make dinner, I'm talking to Eiley, I'm trying to my husband will call on his way home from work, and I'm like, "I
Yeah.
can't talk right now. I have nothing to say. I'm working on dinner." And so
Also, you're on your way home. We can have
yes,
this conversation when you get home.
this is exactly what I say, and I don't but yeah, so it's just so when I started to say, "Okay, Eiley, I'm gonna do this, you
Yeah.
do that, and then I'm gonna focus just on dinner for a minute, and then we'll talk about" instead of trying to be so productive that not only am I doing one thing, I'm doing 4
Yes.
poorly.
Yes.
So
One of my favorite quotes is from Parks and Recreation, which is one of my favorite
love that
shows.
show.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and it's Ron Swanson saying, like, don't half ass two things, you need to whole ass one thing. And I think about that all the time because I have always like, and a lot of my friends have always praised me for like, oh my gosh, you're the best multitasker. Like, I don't even know how you do it. Well, the age I'm at, I can't do it anymore. And it's actually messed with me a little bit that like
Yeah.
I used to be able to do 12 things at once
Mhm.
pretty effectively, and now I'm like, I don't even remember why I walked to the kitchen, and
Oh god. Yes.
was
Yes.
it to make dinner? No, but I don't know what I was doing there,
Yeah.
and that divided attention, though, is I think it's affecting all of us, and as we age, we literally lose the capacity to do it, so we're actually doing a very bad job at all of the things.
Right, right. And, as far as the component of rest and being okay with not being in constant motion, like, organizing is cyclical, we all know this, but I think the problem with being a business owner on Instagram is that you're also on Instagram seeing all the things that other people are doing, and we've talked about this, the echo
Or
chamber.
that you think you're doing or that you think
Yeah.
that they're doing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so you're sitting there and you're like, "Okay, well, my business is maybe a little slower this week. I could use my day in a number of different ways." Like, my husband's always like, "Enjoy your time. Go outside, go do something, blah, blah, blah."
Yes.
I can go walk the dog for a long time and go for a hike because that's productive to the dog too, right? Like,
Absolutely it is, yes.
so it's good for me, but it's good for him, so I feel like it's a decent use of my time.
Yeah.
But in my head, like, sitting down and reading a book is, like, not the right thing. I have a really hard time just sitting down and actually even though that's, like, technically, I guess, productive, it's really
Yes.
pleasurable for me, but because there isn't that, like, feeling of being extra productive, I'm like, "Well, I should be doing my Google My Business, and I should be doing my" and I technically should be doing my you know what I mean? There's always
Yes.
something. There's always something. And
There's never going to be a time that you go, "Well, I've done it all. I've gotten to the end of
Mhm,
the list and I don't have" 'cause like you said, there are always things that can be getting our attention.
mhm,
But I also find when I don't leave the right time for
mhm.
recharging that I burn out so completely that I go into what the internet calls functional freeze, where
Yeah.
I can't do anything. I can't
Right.
even do the really important things that I need to do.
Yeah, and we just leave the things that actually would restore us to the end of the list, and like weightlifting, for example.
Yes.
Like, there's 1,000 different things on my list
Yeah.
that come before weightlifting, which is really the one thing I should be making sure I do every single day.
For sure. It's funny that you say that. So I joined a new gym recently, and there have been so many days where I was like, okay, you have to go to the gym today. This gym provides I think there are 10 different classes you can take throughout the day. Okay.
Oh, there's
From
options.
5 a.m., which is a hard pass for me,
Yeah, me either.
6 a.m., which is also pretty much a hard pass. But the rest of the day, there are a lot of options for me to get there. And
Mhm.
I'm excellent at making excuses as to why I can't go to the gym.
Right.
But I'm like, no, I have so much work to do. I have so much work to do. But I also will spend the 45 minutes that gym class was doing useless things.
Totally.
And because I'm in that like freeze mode or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So it's about the pleasure of the thing that you're doing. By the way, when I go to the gym, I love going to like
Same.
I feel great.
Right.
But getting there, I can always find an excuse for like, well, I should be working on, fill in list.
Right. Right. And you can always create more to add to your list. Like there's
Always.
if you want to play that mental game, there's always going to be something,
Yes. Right.
which I'm quite good at. I'm like, you know what I need is a project.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Because that free time is so terrifying. It's like it's something I've talked about in therapy actually, is this like need to always have something to do and to measure my worth and productivity. And
Yeah.
therapist was like, okay, I want you to do an exercise where you just sit with yourself and don't do anything else. Just sit with yourself for 2 minutes. Ask me how many times I've done that.
So I'll tell you, I'm guessing that'll be the longest 2 minutes.
Right.
That's going to make an hour at the gym look like a walk in the park. Because my guess is 2 minutes of doing nothing,
Uh-huh.
probably really hard.
Yes, it's really hard.
But I think it's a thing that we can practice, right?
Like,
I'm not good at being like silent or but like
mhm.
I always have my headphones in. Like my client,
Me
I'm at a
too.
client right now. And the
Mhm.
other day, the homeowner was like, "Do you have 2 sets of AirPods?" I go, "I sure do." And she's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Well, it's like a charging thing, and so, like, if one battery runs dead, then I have the other ones ready to go." And you could tell that she was like, "Okay." And
A
I'm like,
lot of
"I always
people.
have to have something in my ears, like, I'm always listening to a podcast or an audiobook or a whatever, like,
Right.
it's
Stimulation.
hard for me to
Uh-huh.
just be alone with my thoughts."
It really is, it's scary, and, like, I was in Sedona last week, and it was like, that's a restful place, it's beautiful.
Sedona, if you guys listen, if you've never been to
Mhm.
Sedona, Arizona, please go. It's lovely.
It's literally a spiritual place, it
Yeah.
is so beautiful, and in the Red Rocks, there's a ton of hiking, and if you're a hiking person, it's so good, and so we would
Even
go.
if you're not a hiking person, go
Yeah.
hiking there because it will make you so happy.
It's just so beautiful, and so we would go on hikes in the morning, and then one day, Eiley wanted to go to the pool, so my husband offered to take her to the pool while I went for a hike because there were trailheads that were, like, a half mile from our
Everywhere, yeah.
hotel. It was so great, and so I went on this hike, and Charlie said, "Don't bring your AirPods. Just don't bring your AirPods. Just be." And, you need to hear the nature. It's part of the experience, blah, blah.
Right.
I could not leave them home.
Yeah, and you're like, "Don't tell me what to do."
Yeah, I was like, "But what if it but I have things to listen to."
Yeah,
And I would turn it off for, like, 2 minutes, and I'm like,
yeah.
"Ah, I gotta turn it back what is that?"
It feels bad. It real like, it's an anxiety thing
Yeah.
of it feels weird not to have that, and that is actually distressing.
Yes, it
Not
is.
both of us, because I think you and I are both, like, fairly well-adjusted human
Right,
beings and
right,
functional and all the things, and that's why I know it can't just be both of us. Like,
right, no.
it's so much more, and that being alone and because I think it goes back to what we started talking about, which is you always feel like you are supposed to be doing something, like, the hike is the something,
Right,
but for
right.
some reason, we don't think that is enough.
Yeah,
You
and
should
that like,
probably be listening to a business podcast while you do that hike because
I
you need
did
to
have
get
that
your
thought.
exercise in, and you also need to make sure that you're doing X, Y, and Z.
Right, for your business.
Right.
And professional organizers tend to be pretty perfectionistic because we're making our clients' houses as perfect as we can, that's, like, in the job description. And so I feel like it lends our personalities a little bit more to that trouble of not and as a business owner since there is always something to be doing, there's always that guilt trip of like, am I doing a disservice to my business by not constantly being active?
Yeah.
Am I just gonna fail? Which is like that feeling of that fear of failure is like a really legit
Yeah.
thing.
And you referenced earlier, and I have gone on record on many places and many occasions talking about the Instagram. So, like, whether it's
Yes,
FOMO or, just comparisonitis, any of the things that we've
yes.
talked about, I do think you're right that when you have something in front of you and again, we do this because we think it is for business. And then
Mhm.
you're looking at all these other people that are doing things, which again, you have no idea whether those are current
Yeah.
projects, 4 years ago projects, something
Mhm.
that you did in whatever. You don't know anything about what that post actually is,
Right.
but it applies that pressure. of,
Yes,
Look what she's doing. Look what she's doing. Look what she's doing. And then that leads to all of the other things.
absolutely, and if you're doing it full time, especially in the beginning, I remember there was a fair amount of unstructured time because,
Yes.
if you don't have time clients filling every single hour, so then it's like, "Okay, well, whoa, if I'm working for someone else going to an office, my hours are spoken for, I don't have unstructured time." But when you have the house to yourself and a day, you have choices around how you spend that time, and that can be really hard.
We're gonna talk about the problem and then, the solution is in all of us. Like, it's going to be the hard work of the sitting down and doing nothing for 2
Yes.
minutes. But one book that I recommend to people is called Deep Work by Cal Newport. So Cal Newport actually has several books that I recommend to people all the time, and one of them, I forget, I'll put the proper title of the book in the show notes, but he is the proponent of digital detoxing and, like,
Mm.
really strict digital detoxing.
Yeah.
But his book, Deep Work, I really love because it talks about how he has structured himself so that he has these periods of what he calls deep work where you don't let anything interfere. And
Mm.
you just get in that mode and then you're done with the thing, right? And then you can kind of release yourself. And I think that's really the problem of, with we were talking about all the multitasking and everything else, like
Yeah.
everything we're doing 10 things at a time, all of the things might not get done, so then you feel overwhelmed and then you just keep working and all the things. And so that concept of deep work is, let me get into these several hour blocks of work with no distractions, and then I can release myself to have this other time that is unstructured.
Right, and I think you were talking about this in the Marie Kondo after you went to Japan, and we were
Yeah.
talking that idea of, like, always needing to be busy, and you had talked about being more conscientious of your own rest and your need to not overschedule yourself and overburden yourself,
I
and
talked about it and now I'm back in this.
it's because those habits are so
Yeah.
ingrained, and because that we do think, like, our worth is tied up in how much we get done, and I think, like, I that it's that practice of, like, "Okay, today I'm gonna take that hour and I'm going to go on the walk and maybe I'll just, like, listen to music."
Yeah.
Like, it's a step down from a podcast, right? Like, I can a little bit be or even I'll put in 1 AirPod instead
Yeah.
of 2, but I do think it's worth it, and especially we're modeling for kids, right? Like, I don't want Eiley to grow up and feel like she's not doing anything worthwhile if she's not up and moving every single moment.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I've seen it. I'm ragging on my own kids, but it's not just my kids. It's every
Yeah,
kid of their age, but I watch them. Like, last year I took a road trip with my daughter and there were
yeah,
many hours of not a whole lot to do, right? And
yeah,
Minnesota to Arizona, it's a really long trip, you guys. But I would watch her. I'd be driving and she'd be scrolling TikTok and she'd be like, flip, flip. Like, she'd watch a TikTok for 2 seconds and be like, nope, nope. And it was just constant.
yeah,
Like, there are studies now about attention spans and things like
yeah,
that, especially college students, like, they don't have the patience to read very long passages of things, like,
yeah,
just they're constantly dividing that attention, and I just think too that, you know, Instagram, all social media has, like, given that to us, right?
absolutely.
It
Uh-huh.
and so then that, not having anything or just slowing down, and my Japan trip was a great example of that. I got home from that trip and it was a transformational trip for me. And I
Mhm.
said, "I want to be different."
Yeah,
Really did.
yeah,
And I do,
yeah,
but it's really hard when you're not in that spot then, like, regular life just happens again.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I'm responsible. I'm the primary breadwinner for my family. And I'm about to have 2 kids in college and all those things. And you're like, yeah, all that like stress is crushing
Yeah,
to all
it
of
is.
us.
It is. And yeah, and I was thinking I saw that in Sedona for Eiley too. She's got her tablet. She really only gets it on travel. But that kid, we got a Mustang. We got our car
Oh,
upgrade.
that's so fun.
Very cool. So we're driving with the top down to Sedona. It could not be more beautiful. And she's got her head down in her tablet like
Yep.
this. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, goodbye. Like
You're
she
missing
was,
it.
and we would say, okay, we're driving however many minutes now. You can't have your tablet. She goes, what am I supposed to do? Like,
Right.
I feel you. I get it. Like I get it.
Then also then you totally get I don't know if you do this, but I totally do it with my kids. Sometimes I'll be like, "Guess what happened when I grew up?
Yeah.
We drove from Ohio to Colorado
Yeah.
vacation. There were no like
Yeah.
we finally one year got Walkman, right? And then my brother reminded me that my mom would only let us listen to it for a certain amount of time
Oh
before she
God,
would
we've
just
all
take
been the
it down.
same.
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, we had, like, car games, like bingo,
Uh-huh.
where we would, like,
Yep.
try to find cars with certain license plates or, like, whatever," and my kids are like, "Boy, that sounds horrendous." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, I'm just letting you know how it was when we grew up."
Exactly. I remember that game, and you just kept yourself busy, just like yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's the blocking of the time too. I think being mindful of your time that is really helpful. And like one thing that we've been doing, so like our organizer dinner, the battle of trying to find a day that works for everyone is so much mental work
Yeah,
that
so what you're talking about is there are 4 of us who get together
Mhm.
for dinner, and,
Yeah.
yeah, finding that time is hard.
It's terrible. So, like, finding that, okay, like, I want this to happen every month. I wanna be a part of it, so let's find date that it always happens on, and whoever comes can come.
Yeah.
So that mental load of trying to schedule isn't an extra thing you have to deal with because everyone has so much mental load and so many decisions they're making every day that I think, like, part of one thing I am doing well, I feel like, is thinking through, like, what is important to me right now and the friendships that are important to me right now and the things that actually restore me. And one of those is time with my friends. One of those is time outside. One of and moving my body in some way, and it's usually moving my body outside if I
Yeah.
can. And so I know that about myself. I'm starting to try and listen a little bit more deeply to my body. And so, like, while we were in Sedona, there was a day where we were driving more because we were going to the Grand Canyon and coming back. And I was like, I have to move. I have to move. I haven't been in the car so much. I know I'll be happier. I know I'll be a nicer parent if I can move. And so I think that's part of it is being more mindful of our time and making sure that we fill in those things. And maybe we have slots. Like I know there are slots of the week that always work for me to do something with friends. And so I'm like, okay, well, if it's either a Tuesday or a Thursday evening, we can do dinner or a walk. Saturday morning, I can do this or this. And so then I just try and fill those slots. And if I get asked to do something on another day, I have to think long and hard about whether it's worth that because I
Yeah.
don't like to be gone every single night either.
Yeah. I have found for myself that putting some boundaries around my weekends have helped
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And sometimes that this is going to sound terrible, but I really love not leaving my house on a weekend.
No, it's
And
nice.
so even and I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, weekends are friend time or whatever." And I'm like, I actually don't like that. I'm just going to be
Yeah.
honest. Like I
Yeah.
when I have plans on a Saturday night, I am not happy.
Yeah.
And so I would rather say like, "Hey, could we go out on Thursday night?" Like Thursday night
Totally.
would be a fun night to go out because then I
Yeah.
also feel like I look forward to things more. I'm like, "Oh, after my work day, I have
Mhm.
something fun, and then tomorrow I'll have another work day." And then
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday, like yesterday was Sunday,
Mhm.
and I worked really hard not to leave my bed. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that for me, that has setting a little bit of those boundaries has helped me, but it doesn't solve the other problem of like, but even though I'm not leaving bed, by the way, I'm not just sitting in bed. I'm doing
Yeah.
different things. So I still have the problem, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
set more of that like, no, I don't have to like work on emails. I don't have to
Mm.
whatever. I just am going to read a book. I took a bath yesterday.
Oh, uh-huh.
I, do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
some of those kinds of things.
The restorative stuff.
Yeah.
And we usually do stuff as a family on the weekends, and so I try to not schedule too many friend things on the weekends too for that same reason. I just don't like to be so overscheduled or it really stresses me out.
Yeah.
And I need time for my, like, my habit of prepping for the week, which
Yeah.
takes basically a weekday or a weekend day, it feels like, which is another topic altogether.
It really is. Well, I think too, and maybe this is me, but I doubt it. I feel like if it happens to me, it's probably happening to a lot of people. I will
Mhm.
find too, like right now, I have a lot going on and there is a lot of overwhelm. And so it's easy to just go like, oh my gosh, I have so many things. It's kind of like a client. A client
Mhm.
contacts us because they have so much stuff they don't know where to start, right?
Right.
And they
Right.
always use the same word, it's overwhelmed. And they always go, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do
Yeah.
all the things. Okay. Well, I do that in my own like
Totally.
administrative life, right? And
Yeah.
the classic thing of like, and I see this on the internet all the time. People are like, that thing that I put off for 3 months took me 10 minutes to take care of.
Totally.
Like,
Yeah.
I have to call my bank today. Who wants
Yeah.
to call their bank? No one.
Yep.
Like, but I have to do it, right?
Mhm.
Because there is a thing that is going on that I need to take care of. And I have put it off all, by the way, they were open all weekend. I
Right.
could have done it. I just put it off. And I'm like, this will take me 3 minutes when I'm done.
Right.
And then it's
Right.
off my list.
Yep. Yep.
So I let that get in the way too. So it's not just like all this other stuff we're talking about, but I let that stress and anxiety overwhelm me over small tasks. And I'm like, if I just set aside an hour
Yeah.
to do the shit things,
Yeah. And take it away of your
literally called the
like,
shit list.
yeah, from your like scrolling time, right? Because
Yeah,
you know that
right.
you're wasting that time elsewhere.
Do you know
So
what I did? I've taken
mm,
Instagram off my phone.
good for you. I have a limit on. I have a new app that I'm using.
Okay.
Like it does a hard line. So after 30 minutes, you put your apps on that you want off. It's called Opal. It's
Okay.
free. There's a paid version,
OPAL.
OPAL,
Okay.
and you set your hard line limit of how long you want to be able to be on
Okay.
collectively. So it, combines your time. But I have Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, and I don't have TikTok on my phone right now for that exact reason. But those are the 3 apps that I have blocked. After 30 minutes, it just shuts them all down, and you can't access them for 8 hours or 12
Okay.
hours, till the next day, and I'm like, "Oh," it gives me anxiety every single time it pops on, and I'm like, "Oh, man, I'm in the middle of something. Is it important? Probably not, but I am in the middle."
Yeah.
And so you have to
Well,
do, like, a hard reset or, like, it's a process to try and get back in. Works for me.
So I tried that. So I didn't have that. I just used the old Apple settings.
Setting time
So
limit.
just use the Apple settings where it has a limit and then it'll come up. The
Mhm.
problem with those is it will say, "Okay, I've reached
Yeah.
my time," or it'll say, "Ignore limit." And then it'll give
Yep.
you a choice. Ignore for
Yep.
1 minute, ignore for
Yep.
15 minutes, ignore for the rest of the day. And the
Yep.
number of times I clicked ignore for the rest of the day. So maybe
Same.
what you're hearing from this is I have self-control problem, but I feel like
Oh,
we all probably have it.
oh,
But
I would also hit ignore for the rest of the day. That's why
right.
I keep
But if
them
it's
off.
not on my phone, if I have
Uh-huh.
to say, okay, in order to put this back on my phone, I have to go to the app store. I have to re-add it to my phone. That feels like a failure, right?
Yep.
And so what I've been doing is I've actually started, I will put it back on my phone like for the weekend.
Oh, sure,
So
that's a good idea.
during
Uh-huh.
then I'll then because then it is enjoyable scrolling time and
Yeah.
not I'm trying to do it more mindfully, but for
Right.
me, I just know myself well enough to know it just can't be on my phone.
Right, and that's how I feel about TikTok because
That
I
I don't have TikTok. I took TikTok
oh,
a long time ago because I
it's
did not have enough self-control.
it's terrible. It's such a delightful
Yeah.
like, who doesn't wanna sit there and scroll for a half hour and look at dog videos? Me. I wanna know all the animals I should bring home.
Yeah, llamas, goats, whatever, bring them home. Yeah,
And it's really dangerous for my pocketbook as well, really.
yeah. Well, and that's an important point because I do wanna bring because one of the things that we haven't talked about is, like, how do we break this? Like, how can we
Mhm.
just have nothing time or rest
Yeah.
or whatever? And I think the problem is that our brains always go to like, I just said it myself, like, I give myself Instagram on the weekends, like,
Mhm.
as a reward, but here's what happens with me with Instagram. I don't even have, like, the FOMO. I don't have a problem with the FOMO or comparisonitis or any of
Yeah.
that. Really
Mhm.
don't. What I do is I'll go into reels and they're always very enjoyable, right? Like
Yeah.
not as enjoyable as TikTok, but still pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'll be going through and then and I'll start the scrolling cycle and then it'll be like, "Oh, well, that's funny. Oh, well, that's a political thing that just made me mad. And oh, that's a recipe. Oh, I forgot. I'm not eating healthy enough. Oh, this
Mhm.
person is out." It's not FOMO of work stuff. It's like pressure of
Mhm.
I should be growing my own vegetables. I
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
I should be
Yeah.
I should be. it actually, that relaxation thing that I have added back onto my phone actually gives me pressure in other parts of my life.
Right, it winds you up.
100%. And then it is, and by the way, there are documentaries and there are scientific studies
Mhm.
about this. These apps are designed to be addicting.
Yeah.
And they are. It's because 'cause you're like, maybe the next video will be the one that calms my brain down and then I can shut it down. No, it just is gonna keep feeding me
Yeah,
something else that's gonna make me feel like I am an inadequate mom because I didn't grow my own vegetables.
totally. Or you get targeted ads that then make you spend money on things you don't need, and
Yes.
it's the like, when I took them off my phone and when I took TikTok off, I actually saved myself money because I wasn't
Yes,
being
100%.
marketed
Yes.
to, and so I it's there's an element of, like, having to be a little bit thoughtful about that thing, so
For sure.
what
Well, so one of the things, like, kind of the original thing we talked about is, like, we can't do nothing.
Mhm.
Like, I actually realized one day I don't have any hobbies. You know, people are like, "What are your hobbies?" I'm like, "I don't
Yeah,
have a hobby." Like,
hobby,
I'm not
hobby.
I know myself well enough. I'm not gonna learn how to knit. I'm not
Uh-huh,
gonna be like doing Legos. You can judge me for
uh-huh.
that if you want, but I love
No,
Legos. But even just, like, I'm not good at saying, I'm just gonna go build a set of Legos because I go, "No, you have all these other things, all the things that are hanging over your head. Why don't you go do those?"
right.
And so I need to be better about just saying like, "No, I'm
Mhm,
allowed to have this time." One of the things
right.
that hit me too, just about like I always have my phone around, like we're
Mhm.
recording this podcast, but I got it right here, right? And I've done all the things. I don't have notifications on. My phone's been on silent. Someone the other night was like, "Oh, I had a thought, but I didn't want to text you in the middle of the night." I'm like, "Man, my phone's been on silent since 2002. Like,
Same.
bug
Mhm.
away. I don't care." But I don't have any chimes, I don't have any of those things, but still your phone is just always here to go, there's something here, right?
Totally.
You
Yeah,
know there's something here. And
yeah.
I had this moment where I go, "So why do I feel that compulsion to always have it around when I'm working or whatever?" And I'm like, I don't ever have that compulsion when I sleep. Like, I never wake up at 3 in the morning and go, "Oh my gosh, I need to check my phone to see if someone texted me."
Right,
Well,
same.
I'm asleep. So why do I not allow myself to do that during the day?
Right, right. It's yeah, and giving your brain just that one thing. Like, I
Or
don't
when
know.
I'm with a client, I'm very disciplined when I'm with a client. If I am working with a client,
You're not gonna be
obviously I'm
like,
not
"Oh,
checking
hold"
my phone. So
right.
missed, and I'll leave a session and I'll have 35 text messages or
Yeah,
whatever. But I did not have a compulsion to be like, "Sorry, I need to stop the session to go check those texts." So why do I
yeah,
have that same compulsion when I'm working on SEO or
yeah,
working on email or whatever?
yeah. Do you think that we're valuing that time less because it's just something you're doing for yourself?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think because the things that I have the hardest time with are the things that truly only benefit me. Weightlifting
Yeah.
only benefits me. Going on a hike without the dog,
Yeah.
like, there are times where I'm like, "Oh, I'd really like to go somewhere and walk just by myself." Like, the dog barks all the time if we walk him at nighttime. There are some nights where I just, like, wanna get out and move a little bit,
Yeah.
but I, like, physically can't not bring the dog.
Yeah.
I need to have it be productive. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
So, it's
We're
just something
all our own problem is
yeah,
what
yeah, yeah, and honestly, like, I truly believe that the business owners that build balance are the better business owners. Like, you are
100%.
you're sounder minded, you have a better sense of what's worth your time and what isn't, and, there's always that stressor of having something, but maybe we need to just be more thoughtful about what is of value and what isn't, and our time that are things that make us a good business owner and that keep us revitalized are just as important.
I I see this a lot as an outsider, when people are talking about their businesses, I can see it from the outside same way as we can see what our clients' problems are.
Totally.
And I see this a lot of, and I fall into this trap myself too, of basically like I'm gonna work on something that is not actually value added because the thing that I need to work on that's value added, it feels hard or
Mhm.
insurmountable, or I don't know how to do it. So all those things. So I'll work on this easy thing to make myself feel productive, but I haven't
Yeah.
actually done the thing.
Yes.
And so I think it's that task avoidance or whatever
Mhm.
word you want to use for it that, yes, you have done something, but was it revenue producing? Is it important? Because those are the words that you just said, like, is it even important?
Yeah.
The answer is sometimes it's not. And then we still have that list of things over our head that's not allowing us to just rest and quiet our brains.
Right. And maybe we need to channel a little bit of our clients where they're the little bit of the fuck it energy where they're like, "Oh,
Don't
guess
care.
it's not getting done."
Burn it down,
Yeah.
which is always my favorite client thing. Can you just burn it down?
I
No, I
know.
can. I don't think you actually want that.
Janet, stop telling me to burn your house down.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a level of like being able to just be okay with chaos that I absolutely cannot handle.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's just something to think about.
What are some of the things so you like to walk and do things like
Mhm.
that. Do you have anything
Mhm.
else that you do when you're
I
in
mean,
one of these cycles?
I love to read, but
Me
like
too.
just and on its own, it should be enough. Reading for pleasure is
Yeah.
one of my very favorite things to do. And so I do that. I think being with Eiley, playing with her and being actually present, playing with her, playing games, doing crafts, cooking, that kind of stuff, going on some sort of a little adventure and, that kind of thing is
Yeah.
really fun. But like even last night, we had just had dinner and my husband's like, okay, I'm going to watch the rest of the basketball game and then I'll come up and finish cleaning up. I'll clean dinner because I made it. And I said, well, she goes, let's play Yahtzee. And I said, okay, well, I'm just going to finish cleaning up dinner. She goes, Dad just said he would do it when he came back up.
Yeah.
I was going to do it just to get it done.
Yeah, I know.
So she called me on it, which was great. And
Yeah.
she said, no, let's just play now. Dad said he would do it. And it's like, all right.
I
Okay.
did say he would do it, right. Yeah.
Could let him
That just reminds me, the great news is my mother-in-law she doesn't know about podcasts, so I can say this, and she'll never hear it, but one time when my nephew was little, so my mother-in-law is always do you know that line from the movie A Christmas Story where the kid's like, "My mom hadn't had a hot meal since 1965," or whatever,
Yeah.
or 1945, and so Tim's mom is a little bit like that, where, when the whole family is over, she's constantly doing things like dinner will be on the table, ready to go, whatever, and she'll be like, "Well, who needs this? Who needs it?" And we're like, "Hey, no, just sit down with us.
Right. Uh-huh.
Just sit down," but she constantly has to be in motion, right? And she's doing it to serve people, right? Like
Right.
it comes from a good place, but tying it back to what your daughter said to you, when my nephew was very little, Tim's mom was doing something in the kitchen, cleaning up, whatever, and Jacob was like, "No, I want to play." And she was like, "Well, I just have to do one more thing. I just have to do one more thing." And he said he was really little and he goes, "I don't think anyone ever taught grandma how to play."
Wow.
And I think about that. That kid is now 27 years old, and I still think about that. I don't think anyone ever taught grandma how to play. Well, it's
Yeah.
true. She's always like cleaning something in the kitchen, cleaning the house, blah, 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 I need you to just throw in a load of laundry, whatever. And so sometimes like seeing it from the outside perspective helps
Mhm.
you remember like, oh, yeah, I don't want to be that person.
Right. Right. I don't want to model that behavior. And I don't want her to feel like she's always the second person on my list. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, and same thing, modeling behavior is I don't want my kids to have that. Like, I would like them to have enjoyment in life, right? And they do.
Mhm.
I just want them to be able to, I want to teach them the right lessons about their mom being an entrepreneur or like my inability to just stop. And sometimes the kids do have to say it to you. Like my
Yeah.
daughter said to me one time, like, "Why do you say yes to everyone all the time?" And I was like, "Boy, that hurts a little bit because it's
Yeah.
true."
Because you do. It's so hard to not help when you get asked. And
Yeah.
yeah. And it's just not, it just doesn't need to be this way. I feel like it's a choice to be perpetually in motion. And I don't know. I don't want I read somewhere something about like this person's on their deathbed and they don't think about, all the things that were on their list. So
Yeah.
where are our priorities out of whack and where can we put into, yes, this is our business and it's super important and I'm passionate about it. I know there's always something that I can do for it. and we're not curing cancer, but
Correct.
we can take time off
Yeah.
and enjoy the time off and be with our family and be with our friends and ourselves.
There was something in the Inspired Organizer Facebook group the other day that I think
Mhm.
really speaks to this, and it's just a reminder for all of us of there was an organizer who was going on vacation and she has a team, and she's
Mhm.
like, "Okay, people with teams, how do you prepare to be out of office? And how many times a day do you check in? And how many times, like," and so I just said, "Please go enjoy vacation." Like,
Right.
maybe unless you're going somewhere for 6 weeks,
Mhm.
like, if you're going somewhere for most people go on vacation for a week, right? If you're
Mhm.
going somewhere for a week, there's not a whole lot in your business
Yeah.
that can implode in a week.
Right.
You have someone on your team that you've designated to be in charge,
Mhm.
them be in charge,
Yeah.
trust their judgment, and say, "I'll deal with it when I get back." But something about that post, like, really made me sad.
Mm.
This person is like, "Okay, give me all the tasks I need to do while I'm on vacation."
Right.
That's
Right.
another thing, and I think that's more of a uniquely American thing. I think some
Totally.
listeners in Europe and Australia are like, "What the hell are you even talking about?" Like,
Mhm.
I think there are, many other parts of the world that do a very good job of, "I'm on vacation." Like, what are you talking about?" Like,
Mhm. Leave me alone. Yeah.
we're bad at that, I think, and it's been ingrained in us, I think, for years and years of like, "No, you have to check in on vacation."
Mhm.
And I mean, we need to be better at going, "No, I don't. My business
Yeah.
is not going to implode in 7 days.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
not."
And I'm better about that now. Like, I do know that there is this, like, early on, because when you're starting out, you're like, "Oh my god, everyone's my client. I need to
Correct.
work with every single person. Every inquiry that comes in, I've gotta give it the attention it
Yeah.
deserves at this moment, or they'll go with someone else."
Yes.
And over time, you're like, "Not everyone's my client." And guess what?
Correct.
They understand we have a life, and if they ask me for a weekend, I can say no. Like, I don't have to have 1,000 different things, I don't have to accommodate every insane request that I get just to keep the business.
Right.
So
And on the flip side, you can accept those when you feel like it. Like,
right, right, when it fits.
occasionally, I don't mind working a Saturday
Yeah,
for the right reason,
when you're
right?
not gonna be resentful about it later. Like,
Correct. Yes.
I find that the ones where I'm like, "Ooh, that really doesn't fit." I had a client ask for a 7 a.m. start. That's not logistically appropriate for me at all. Like, I can't get to your house in South Minneapolis and have all of the things for my family and myself done, and I will
Yeah.
be a resentful mess the whole time.
Yeah.
Yes, you can ask, but I can say no.
Yeah, you can ask and I can go, "That sounds terrible.
Yeah, sorry
Thank
about
you."
it.
Yeah.
My morning matters just as much as yours?
Absolutely. Yeah, I have I had a really good one recently where I had a client who had an emergency, which my good friend Carly Adams always had this phrase like there is no such thing as an organizing emergency, and she's
Right,
absolutely correct, right? But you do have people that, maybe don't plan ahead right or you go,
right. I'm
whatever.
moving next week.
Right, and I had a client in that situation, it was like a move situation that was happening and their move got moved up, blah, 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 whatever, it doesn't matter, and so they were like, "Please, like, we're in a panic, like, can you help us?" And
Mhm,
I said, "Yes, I can help you, but you have to be flexible." I
mhm.
go, "What is your flexibility? Because I am going to have to do some things like work off hours and that type of thing," and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we're so flexible. You can come
Yeah,
in, like, no problem." Okay,
mhm.
what that turned into is when I actually tried to execute on the "we're so flexible"
Right,
plan, they're
yeah,
like, "Well, we really need you to be out by 4 because we like to start our evening routine, and we need you to do this," and I'm like, "These 2 things don't align. So you
right,
can't have an emergency and then also tell me that I can only work between 12 and 4 or whatever." So
yeah,
these are just all situations that and by the way, they're really hard even for someone like you or I who have been in this business for a while. These are
totally.
hard things. So especially if you're newer in your business, it's hard to push back on people. It's hard to have boundaries and it's hard to say no.
It is.
Sometimes you have to.
You do, and you can build respect for yourself in the process and for your
Totally.
business, and I think learning to have hard conversations is one of the hardest things about being a business owner, but I am so much better at having harder conversations with my clients than I was when I started out. It just is but it's always hard and it's always scary, and it's like that moment when you go into every new project. I don't know if this is just me, but every time I go into a new project, either by myself or with my team, I'm always like, "Holy shit, I don't know if we can do it."
Yeah, right.
and it works out.
Works out. Yeah,
But I always have that moment of like, what if this is the one that doesn't work out? What if I can't fix this person's house?
yeah. And it never happens.
No, and and they're gonna have a different idea of what perfection looks like to them. What does success look like?
Yeah.
Their
That's
standards are probably gonna be different.
Yeah, that's another thing that was in our Facebook group last week is there was someone who she submitted some pictures and she's like, I'm not good at estimating. Like, what would you guys estimate? I have to give a proposal to this client. What would you think, it takes in this house? And so because I'm this guy, I'm sure people don't like it, but it is literally my job. I go, why do you have to give a proposal? Like,
Yeah.
client requesting that?
Yeah,
Like,
or
sometimes clients
making
do. Sometimes clients are like, "I really need you to give me kind of like a proposal or whatever." But I was like, or are you putting this pressure on yourself, him an exact amount of time and the proposal and all that stuff?" And she admitted like, "Oh, no, I just thought I had to." You don't. I mean, like, you
no,
can if you want to, but I don't.
no,
I
I
just
don't
don't do
either.
that.
No, I kind of will give a rough idea. I'll be like, oh, I think, roughly a space a day.
Yeah.
But and that's how it's subject to a lot of things, their
Yeah.
decision-making capability, the density of this house. I mean, there's 1,000 things that could go
I would say it's a math problem. It's the
totally.
size of the house times the number of things times the speed of decision making times like it's a math problem and you can't possibly solve that. But it's
Right.
I think the problem is we put this pressure on ourselves of like
Mhm.
what we are supposed to be doing, whether that
Yeah,
is giving a proposal with an exact amount of hours to a client or which by the way they're not even expecting.
right.
We're sometimes doing things to ourselves that aren't required for the business because we just decide they are. I would
Yeah,
say challenge those things. And I mean, I need
yeah.
to challenge those conceptions in my own life too.
Yeah, I would agree entirely, and I appreciate that about the group because
Yeah.
sometimes you do need someone that says, "Wait, why? Why are you?"
Why? Why is that bothering you? I said that
Yeah,
to someone on one of our calls the other night. I go, why is it bothering you?
yeah,
Like, is it bothering? And there's a reason it's bothering you. You're letting it bother you because it's helping you, it's stopping you from thinking about harder things to think about, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
So,
It's like we ask our clients, like, "Why?" We do a lot of whys
yeah,
with our clients too, and when someone calls about someone else's mess, and it's like, "Well, does it bother the person that actually lives in it?" Because if it
correct.
doesn't,
Yes.
we're wasting our time. We're there.
I had that conversation with a client one time who she was insisting that her husband had to fold things. She would like wanted to do KonMari very faithfully.
Oh,
She was
no.
insisting that her clearly very angry her husband was very unhappy to be involved in any of this, like clearly. And
Mhm.
that she was insisting that he had to fold all of his shirts properly.
Oh,
And he was like,
wow.
can I just throw them in the bin? And I finally was like, yes, you can. And she
Mhm.
looks at me like she's angry at me that I didn't back her up, which fine,
Right.
I don't really care. But
Mhm.
I was like, "No." I said, "Well, let me ask you this." I said, "If you're gonna insist that he has to do things away, and he's saying, 'I don't need to do that, it's not a requirement for me.'" I go, "If you insist on that, then you need to do it for him. Like,
Yeah,
something that you require that he doesn't." And I said, "So are you gonna do his laundry and are you gonna fold it?" She goes, "Absolutely not." I go, "Okay, well, then
and let it
fold
go.
the way he wants to.
Yeah, yeah, and my
Not
mom
worth it."
it's not. My mom gave me this marriage advice when we first got married, and she was like, "What you do is you have to when you're deciding who does what, you decide who cares more about each thing because they are the person that should own it." So, like, does Charlie know how to cook? Kind of.
Yeah,
Would we be eating a lot of Kraft mac and cheese and processed hot dogs? Also, yes. And so I care about nutrition and having things be balanced. So I do the cooking.
yeah,
And, when it was early on, he said, "Well, I will clean up afterwards, but it might not be exactly how you wanna do it." And
right.
so I had to let that go and just know, okay, maybe I'm gonna have to come back in and do the countertops if he doesn't do
Right.
them, something like that, So it's this level of letting go of the things that matter less to you. Do I care that our lawn is not mowed as often as I would probably do it personally? Yeah, it bothers me, but does it bother me enough to take it on? No.
In my house, the answer to that is, does it bother me? Yes. And do I then do it myself? Also, yes. Because
Yeah, yeah,
I have said it bothers me. Therefore, and then I go, well, you know what? It's actually enjoyable time for me. It's good
yeah,
exercise. I get a good sweat. The lawn
yep,
looks the way I want it to. I don't
yeah,
have to nag my husband about it. And he's going
right.
to, like, everybody wins.
Yep, yep. So that ownership thing really does help because it's like the
Yeah.
things that you are upset about but then you have to be careful that not everything is something you're upset about or that
Yeah.
you're weighed in on.
Exactly. But all those things are a part of it, right? Like, so everything that we're talking about is not only do we have our business, but we also have our life, our house.
Yeah.
I don't care if you have 12 kids, 0 kids, married, not married. All of us have life stuff
Yeah.
stressful. And
Right.
so having all of that over your head too just kind of adds to it. So I just think in general, we have to learn how to slow down and be kinder to ourselves. And it's
Mm.
easier said than done.
Yeah.
So
But worth it. Worth the attempt anyway. For
absolutely. Well,
sure.
we've been all over the place.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your business
Yeah.
and just, how long you've been doing it, all those things?
I have my business is Organize Professional Organizing Services. It was named by my best friend who was in marketing at Best Buy at the
Love
time.
it. By the way, in case you don't know, everybody talks about Minnesota nice. Like
Yeah.
it's a phrase that we
Yeah.
use a lot. So her business plays on that name, which I've always loved.
Yeah, I like it. And part of my business is, I make a point of being kind and non-judgmental with my clients. And we are fortunate that we have worked with really wonderful people for the vast majority of our clients. And so it's easy because they're good people. But I've been doing it for 6 years. I started out just side hustling. I worked in senior living. And after I had my daughter, I was like, God, I just want a little more control over my schedule and my ability to grow my income. Cause, when you're working for someone else, you're limited. And
Uh,
there might be something, there's a risk you take when you're an entrepreneur, but there's an unlimited potential, which is something that I really like. And it gave me the schedule and the structure that I needed to be present when I needed to be for Eiley, which is we only have one daughter. When she's gone and out of the house, it's over. And so I want to be there. And so anyway, yeah, but I have a team right now. There's 5 part-time people that work, different levels of part-time, and I think people on projects based on their interests and their geography and kind of working on growing things as I go, but it's been the best thing I ever did for my working life for sure. I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
Mhm.
The other pitch I'm gonna make to people, and I make this a lot, but reach out to some local
Oh
organizers.
god, yes.
And like, I just love that I have a network of people that I can be like, I don't have the bandwidth for this job. And you know what? I know you and I live close to each other. So I'll be
Mhm.
like, hey, I have this thing. Is your team available?
Yeah,
It's so nice to have referral partners that you can
it is.
trust, like that you don't have to worry about like, I'm just giving this job to a random person. What if they do a terrible job? Like, develop
Right.
that network of people because it's so nice and such a relief when you have that.
It really is, and it's nice not to feel super competitive with people that are actually legitimately competitors, like,
Yeah.
we all
Right.
know that we are good in our businesses in different ways, and we offer different things to our clients, but I know that all of us are good at what we do, and so, it's nice to have that friendship and not have to worry so much about it's very anti our culture to be
It is.
kind and
Yeah.
helpful to each other instead of competitive.
Well, and that's a really good point is especially now, like one of the things we didn't talk about is, right now there's just a lot going on. Like things feel
Oh,
really stressful, like in the
yeah.
world. Right. And so I think that reminding yourself that there is that goodness and and
Mhm.
I've seen it in the organizing industry in
Yeah.
spades. Like
Yeah.
when I think about the people that I have met in organizing that, hundreds, if not thousands of organizers, and I'm like, there are like a couple duds. And
Mm,
that based on my old corporate life, almost everyone was a dud, right? Like
like, the
almost
numbers are really
100% dud rate, right? Like
yeah, organizers are a good group of people.
just
I
really good.
found that to be true as well. And I like knowing other women entrepreneurs, even if they're not just organizers, because it's just
Totally.
there's this level of understanding that they have that, and even men, it's not the same. They don't get the emotional labor that we have and the difficulty of balance. And so having other women that you can trust and tell like your crazy stories to is really helpful.
Absolutely. It really is. And yeah, I totally want to give a pitch for if you live in an area where there are, a decent amount of organized, get a
Mhm.
nice tribe because, you and I and a couple of other people in our area have just developed this lovely friendship and it's really
Mhm.
great. It truly is great to just get together and be like, you will not believe what happened to you today." And then
Yeah.
everyone will be like, yeah, we will.
Yeah, we
Absolutely
absolutely
will believe that it happened to you today because it
yeah,
same thing happened to me last week or whatever.
yeah. It's really restorative. It just kind of fills your cup up in a way where, you don't have necessarily coworkers every day. I mean, even if though I have a team, it's not like I see them every day in the office and we talk, so it's not the same as working for someone where you have that coworker relationship. And so it fills my cup in that way, which is nice.
Yeah. Well, I will link all of your information in our show notes. So if someone wants to reach out and say hi, I know you would really love it. And we will just try to hold each other accountable for a little bit more rest.
Yeah. Go easy on ourselves.
Yeah. Also, I would say if someone out there that's listening has like a groundbreaking, like great idea that
Yeah.
I've done, seriously, email me hello@proorganizerstudio.com.
Yeah.
I will totally talk about it on a future podcast of like,
Yeah.
hey,
Let's do a part 2.
yeah, absolutely. Like, let me know if you have something that has really magically worked for you because I'm on the hunt. So
Totally. Same,
because every
same.
once in a while I just go like, my solution is I would like to go crawl in the hole from crawling for a month, and that's not really an option. So,
Yeah. I wish.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah. It's so wonderful. Thank you.